Hi, welcome back to Dreamscapes 101. This is part 2, how to make nebulas. Now you'll see on my desktop here that I put up one of my pieces of space art, and you can see that it has a lot of different things going on in the way of nebula. Well, that's what we're going to work on today. So what you want to do is call up your PaintNet and call up the piece that we worked on the last time that it just created these little stars. And then we'll add another layer. Layers are very important and they are your friend. So as you can see, in your layers box you have the main program or main page, and then you have the layer that is clear on top. So what we do now is we go into Effects and we go into Render and we'll call up Clouds. Now I have my setting for the highest it can go for making the scale, and I have my setting for roughness at around 60. Now you can change that in anywhere you want. This is just a preference for me for this particular tutorial. And then just click OK, and it will continue on to do the things that you need it to do on this part. And now once this is all gone, what we're going to do is we want to click on the magic wand, and when yours comes up it will most likely be set at 50, but what we want to do is bring it down to around 20 just by sliding it up and down. Okay, and there are two ways that you can make a nebula, and I'm going to show you the slower way of doing it, because you may want to use this particular way of doing your nebulas. So what you want to do is put your little magic wand on top of the black areas, or you can put it on some of the white areas. It doesn't matter. You choose. And holding the shift key, you press your mouse key, and it'll go through that picture, and it will highlight all those areas with little circles, as you can see right here. Now you can take that and you can increase the amount that you get and do it again if you want more of the area covered. And all these little areas, when we get done with them, can be cut out. Okay, so then all you just do is go over here to cut the little scissors and press it, and it'll go through here and cut all these little things out. And again, depending on the speed of your computer, how much memory you have, it will depend on how much that your computer can handle for it to get through doing this particular stage of the picture. Okay, apparently my computer's not able to handle this particular setting, so we'll just go ahead and click that, and we'll click off of it, and we'll get rid of all those, and we'll go and do it my particular favorite way, and that is go into the lasso and just kind of like do little bits and pieces like that, and like this. You take chunks of it out, and it doesn't matter. A shaky hand is always a good thing for this, because you don't want your cloud to be well patterned. You just want it to be there. It doesn't really matter. And we'll just go ahead and get rid of this too. And we'll chop off this. Okay, so now we have the start of our nebula. Now you can go into adjustments and do a little adjusting on the brightness and the contrast, which will darken it in some places and lighten it in others. And that's fine. You can do that if you want to. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the effects again. And we're going to... Actually, let's give it some color. Now, I particularly am fond of the red colors, the reddish colors. So I'm going to choose that, and you can go into make it a little more purple or more orange, just your favorite, or you can adjust it to the magenta side, or you can go a little more to the greenish side, making it brown. But I'm going to go stick with the red, and I think I'll bring her up to the 25th level of the color, and then I'll just click OK. Now that we have that, let's go up into our blurs. So you click Effect, and there should be a whole bunch of blurs. What we want to do is bring that down and click on the Zoom Blur, and it automatically starts blurring this hole up. And what we want to do is slide the amount all the way up. Now this arrow key, this crosshair here, we'll get to that in a few minutes. But right now, let's just concentrate on getting this part here done. And as you can see, you got all these nice little detailed things going on. But we want to try and stay away from the straight edges as much as possible. That's why we're going to blur it again. Once this is done. As you can see, some of the stars are already shining through it. What we want to do is make sure that all the stars are at least showing through it somehow. Okay, so we have that. And it'll go ahead and finish rendering. And then we'll go ahead and we'll repeat the process. But we don't want to do this. Go back down into your render, your blurs, and click it again. Bring that box up, and here's where we use the crosshair selection. We can, as you can see, it's moving all the way around. These here will move. You can do it manually, but I just prefer to do it this way. And now what this will do is it'll make all that shoot some of the most of this and blur it straight in an opposite direction. We'll go ahead and press OK. And now that it's done, what we want to do is just kind of like cut things out again. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. But I like to just mess around with things sometimes. And that what we'll do is we'll repeat blur it this time. This is also a good way of getting your nebula, if you were to do, say, the northern lights, this would be a good way of doing it. Because as you know, they have that wavy thing going on and a very sharp edge, and sometimes you can see the sides of of the walls there. So of the Northern Lights, it kind of looks like that. So yes, you can do that. Okay, now that we have this done, what we're going to do is go into layers, and we're going to play with it a little bit in the way of how thick it is going to be showing. Right now it's set for normal, but I don't usually use the normal. And as you can see, it disappears when you go and does different things. Now we have all this these little red areas that are stars underneath the layer, and they've taken on the reddish cast. And go into additives, and now all your stars are showing through, and of course you can adjust it to make it more or less depending on how you want it to be. And that's that's the sort of setup I have on the picture that you saw on my desktop. You can also go set it back up there and go through color burn, which also removes it. Dodge, which really gives all these stars a reddish glow. Anything that was in that area has the reddish glow now. You can do reflect, which doesn't really do anything. Glow, that's very pretty. I like that, and I think I'll use that. Let's see here, but we'll go over through the rest of these. And here you have, it's basically overlaying the stars again and giving it that difference, or the glow. And here you have a different setup. It's like a negative world or something. Black hole stars. Lighten. Negation. Darken. And screen. And Zor. I've never used Zor because it always has a weird effect to the pictures. So we're going to go back to glow, and we're just going to kind of bring it down just a little bit, not a lot, because I want to keep this nice white effect going on. Then we'll click OK. So there you have the first layer of your nebula. I say first layer because most nebulas, you can tell, are, if you look at them, they're not always the same color. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into layers, and we're going to add another layer. So now we have our third layer. And then we'll go back into clouds and just repeat all the procedures that we've done so far. You can go and mess around with the roughness and the scales and all that stuff if you wish to. It's your painting, your universe, your solar system, your world. I'm going to go ahead and say OK and let it finish out. And then we'll just click on the lasso again, and we'll go through here and we'll start cutting things out again. Like I say, a shaky hand is a good hand when it comes to this. And we're going to, let's see, there we go. And we'll go ahead and we'll change the color of this, not to red, because I already have that. Of course, now if you want it to be red, you can. I'm going to put a little bit of blue into it. I'm going to bring it up to about 10%. There we go. And I'll click OK. Of course, it's your world. You can make it whatever color. Now I'm going to show you something else that you can do once we've gotten the blurs done. Now I have two different types of zoom blurs. I'm going to use the second blue. This is called the deluxe blue blur. And as you can see, it does all these nice little edged things. And you can change that from medium to high. And high is basically the original one that we used. But we're going to make it medium. And we'll get these nice little ridges here. And we'll click OK. You get all these nice little effects going on as you can see. Now what we have to do is go in to our blur again, the normal blur, and we're going to let it, we're not going to change any of the settings. We're just going to let it work its way down through. And as you can see, your nebula starts taking on this bluish cast along with the red. So you have an over effect situation that's going on. And if you don't like what you're seeing here, just go ahead and move your cursor. I mean your crosshair. And click OK. And if you don't like the way it comes out here after you've clicked OK, this backward button here, you can undo the entire last step that you've done and do it a different way if you want to. Okay, so we have all this little effect here going on, and we're going to go ahead and blur it one more time. And we're going to set it right in the center. Just by clicking those two arrows, it resets it to its default. And we'll click OK. Okay, so now that it's done, you can also go back into the layers and you can play with it a little bit with the alternative, with all the different things that's going on with it. As you can see, it lightens it up right in here, so that even though it's a space, it's kind of cloudy and misty and all. You can try multiple, which blackens it out. I suggest just play through all the layer properties and see what you come up with, what pleases your eye. I kind of like, again, well, I'm going to go with the glow, but let's look at the rest of them. And you have that little effect there going on. So I'm going to go back to glow, and I'm going to go ahead and use that one. Now what we want to do is save it. Because if it's important that you save everything that you do before you go on. And that's basically how you do a nebula. There are some other things that you can be doing with it, but I will get to that somewhere. Oh yes, it's going to ask you to flatten it if you try to save it into a JPEG. So yeah, go ahead and just flatten it. It won't hurt anything. If you don't want to flatten it, save it as an MPG. Or I'm sorry, save it as a PNG. I believe that's what it is. And keep your layers. And when you open it up, they'll all be there that you can still do things with. But as I was saying, you can do some other things with these rays of light and clouds and stuff. But that's something we'll get into later on. And that's basically how you do your nebulas. And that's it for now. And I hope you come back for the next one, which is when we will learn how to make a planet. Thank you. Have a good day. God bless you.